in real life.
Welcome back. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of Duel with myself, Alicia Solomon, and Megan Hines, where we discuss everything the challenge. We are back for season 38, episode 5, I believe.
Yes.
And okay, cool. 5 episodes down, 85 more to go. This week we had some little interesting made up turmoil, which is probably one of my favorite things to watch when people make up drama. Not like Josh though, but like people make up drama and then you get the behind of how that's just gonna play out. It's just like, whoo child, just making up stories.
It's giving Michael Jordan like making beats in his head, but these people are not Michael Jordan esque. That's what it was giving.
You're not even Harold Miner. Like you're not even you're not even Harold Miner. Like, come on. Come on.
uh yeah, so jumping into the episode, Colleen and Kim are back in the house after last week, and Michelle noted that her and Jay are next on the block after the Rickies get picked off. Because as we know, like the vets have like their big alliance and there's a totem pole of like who is in that alliance and who's not. And obviously Jay and Michelle at the bottom of that. So it makes perfect sense that they would be an easy target for that big alliance after they try and pick off the Rickies. And I was like, that is facts because there's they're just not close with as many people and they're not in the vacation alliance either. That's the one that's really like keeping everything kind of together for the vets. Um and yeah, that's how we start off the episode.
I mean, what you want me to say? The girl was crying 2 weeks ago about Nani and Nani still doing to elimination. Like, come on. Unserious.
Yeah, this episode is very unserious, by the way. It really like it really is. Like thinking about it, it really is unserious. But we're gonna go to pool day, where we saw a lot of people getting cozy with one another, with some of the showmances that we had, with Nelson and Olivia, Fessy and Colleen, Horacio and Laurel, and surprisingly, Mariah and Bananas were talking, but Mariah heeded to what her mother said to stray a little bit away. Um, but it was just talk. There wasn't anything else that came of that conversation.
I think watching that, I think that was probably the worst thing out of that whole episode. I'm not gonna lie. When I seen that in the beginning of the episode, I was just like, this girl is not serious. There's no way she's serious. Like she's looking at this man in his face and is coming on a confessional and saying he's attractive. Like, girl.
I mean, like I said, this episode is very unserious. Like,
Lord.
and he does this every time. Like he did it with Angela, he did it with Morgan, and nothing's. I don't think anything's gonna come to whatever they have really going on. But it's a pattern with this man, and it's very disgusting.
I don't know. Are they blind? Like,
I
like
don't know.
I'm not seeing it.
They got to. They got to
The
be blind.
personality is not that good though either. So it's like, what is it?
And the his little man up downstairs is very small.
I've seen the sex tape. It's not good either. So what is it? What is it?
I don't know. I really don't. Like I was
Oh,
shocked. I was appalled because girl, you could do much better than him. Granted,
raise the
not in the
bar.
house.
Just raise your standards, please. Anyway.
Yes. And Darrell and Veronica said they were also a bit on the outs with the other vets because they got in late, and Darrell kind of dubbed them as the underdogs of the vets because they really have kind of pushed them off the wayside because like, oh, they're just gonna keep throwing them in because they came in late. Like I mentioned last time, What does them coming in late have to do, if anything? These are literal legends in the game. And y'all are like, oh, they came in late, so we're gonna throw them in. What have y'all done of recent times for y'all to keep doing this? Like, it doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, y'all need to have some respect for y'all elders because it's giving. I don't know what to do.
Well, they're in the same age bracket as them too, so it's not like some of these people are far off. But I just think that it's an easy cop out for them to use that Darrell and Veronica came in late. And also because it seems like this is Veronica's first time back on in so long that it's easier for people to kind of shun her away because she hasn't been on the show. She hasn't had built the relationship in the past couple of seasons with a lot of these people. And it's just easier for them to just scapegoat them. Like they're just an easy target. As much as they're legends, OGs, they're just an easy target.
And I hate that for them because they deserve better. But then again, we have
Yeah.
the Vacation Alliance. They have no sense running that game. So
Yeah.
and then we get to the emo night with a performance by Jay and Jack. And Darrell said he didn't know what emo was, but he was rocking his look with his little one earring, and his little get up, and the hat was off to the side and all black. Um, and it was the whole night. It was very interesting. Like these outfits, the makeup, it was a lot. And I get what y'all was trying to do and be with the theme, but it was just a lot. Like we really had Jack in a blue spiky situation. Jay had on a pink hat. Like it did not make sense. Like, but have y'all emo night. Have it.
You know, in the past couple of seasons, we've seen them do these theme parties, and not the last couple of since when we see that in the documentary, but they go back and how they had the original theme party and how it's been ever since. But I don't know if it was just such a gimmick this episode. I don't know what it was about this, but it was just so off-putting. And then they, are playing, Panic at the Disco in the background. It's just funny because that was like that era of Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, that kind of music, my vibe completely. However, still the way that they were acting, and I don't know, some of the tropes that some people were kind of perpetuating, like Tori and Devin sitting in the corner with the little comb over. It's like, all right, like y'all are trying to be funny, it's cool, but it's just, I don't know, it didn't really sit well with me. Like it didn't eat like I really thought it was. Like it was a good plan in theory, but the execution, no.
Like I don't even like Panic at the Disco. To me, wasn't even like an emo group. They were just a
They're not.
pop rock
They're
group.
rock. Yeah. They're pop rock.
This was a failure all around. Like they could have got better music for that section. They could. I don't. That party was horrible. But Jack and Jay, they did their performance with Johnny on the guitar. And they had a good little team, well, not team, but group moment in that. We also did see Anissa and Veronica have a little key while doing their makeup. Um, but Veronica did mention that they're cool, but she didn't know where Anissa was with her regarding the game because they hadn't really talked game since she got in the house. Um, and we'll see how that kind of goes because she need like her and the girl need allies at this point because no one's like really coming up to talk to them. Like they have to like do the work to try and like get people on their side to keep them in the game instead of like pitting them as scapegoats.
I think the only other team so far that we've seen them speak real game to was last week with Olivia and Horatio trying to get, saved off of them. And I mean, the only other person I could really think of is probably Amber and Chauncey because Amber was partnered with Darrell in her first season and a couple seasons ago. But really, everyone else, it's really a crapshoot to see what direction that they want to go in.
Yeah. Um Then we go to Michelle talking to Amber, and she said that she fell off with Laurel. And she said if she wins, I'm gonna prep my uniform. And she said that Laurel would throw her in at the first chance she gets. I don't know. This is where I was like, okay, I don't know where this is coming from because Laurel was just Laurel. I don't know how you're getting this energy from her. That's what started confusing me.
I mean, she literally just made up the whole beef and decided to just run with it. Like from the start of her speaking with Amber and having the discussion of she's going to get prepared for elimination, Laurel has it against me, she doesn't like me. And it's like, who even said that? Like who did you speak with? Like, please, we need names, we need numbers, we need times of dates and when this happened, because clearly you didn't speak to anyone about this to confirm, and yet you're spreading that information around, number one. And then what happens later on is just like, bro, you really are just insane. Like, I don't understand.
How things happen later on is like, how the hell she went Survivor?
I guess you have to be insane to win Survivor.
I guess. I'm like, Lord Jesus. We go into the daily challenge, and this week we have another sponsor. Burger King is back.
That was a big sponsor. Okay, now okay, hold on. Let's just not too much on Burger King now, because who knows, if they want to sponsor, you can sponsor.
Hmm.
However, comma, um, this was more product placement than I've had seen in a very long time. Like typically they'll have a drink sponsor, and that, they'll throw in the 5,000 for the daily challenge. They'll have a cup next to them. They'll have a little cute like sponsorship in the background, a little logo placement, something like that. What Burger King did in terms of sponsoring TJ looking like he is having ketchup and mustard on his shirt and his scarf, them having the whole feast at the house, it's like they dropped the bag, clearly.
A big bag, big bag. Cause like, but then again, I don't know if I have to fact check this. I remember like a couple seasons ago, Amanda won the Burger King challenge. I don't know if they sent her that money. I don't know. Um,
Burger King not sending people their money?
I don't know.
Oh nah, Burger King. Nah, hold on. If you're trying to cut the check, you need to cut the check. Don't just say you're gonna cut the check.
I have to
Cause
double
you got
check.
you
Yeah,
got people eating meat and you're not cutting a check. That's wrong. Okay, because I've seen them chomping down them whoppers. Like, Burger King, do right by these people and send them their money. Thank you.
yeah. So with Burger King being a sponsor, they really named us in tune with Burger King because the name of this challenge was Royal Relay, where they have to be in two heats and alternate in swimming and rowing a boat to collect four crown pieces that are floating in the lake, and they need to assemble the crown the fastest. The fastest team with the best time will win and earn a $5,000 cash prize from Burger King.
Listen, I'll take $5,000 right now too. You give me some French fries, some chicken nuggets. I'm cool.
Same. I'll take it, even though it's Burger King. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
I don't eat Burger King, but I'm just saying, for $5,000, hey, have it your way.
Yeah. I used to eat Burger King like when I was like real little, like in preschool, because there's a Burger King near my preschool. So sometimes I would go there to get breakfast before I would go. I vividly remember that because it was like a minute away. I would go there,
Hmm.
go to school. Sometimes if I had to go to the doctor, I would go to Burger King when I go back to school.
Mm.
Sometimes it was
So you
McDonald's, and
have a
sometimes
relationship. This is nostalgic for you.
yes. It just hit me. I'm like, wait, I have a vital remembrance of going to Burger King as a child. I remember the French toast sticks. Okay, now I'm getting too far into this, but
Yeah,
those
you
were
you
good.
going deep in the menu because I. But that's okay. That's okay as long as it's bringing back good memories.
Yes.
You know, that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm gonna shut off a memory because I want to get back into the episode. So in Heat One, we had Nerese. I whenever I see Nerese's name, because the people on Twitter that don't like that girl can keep calling her Nurse.
That's funny. That is actually funny.
It is, but another side note. So it's Nerese and Nelson, Jack and Laurel, Amber and Chauncey, Jordan and Anissa, Olivia and Horatio, and Jay Michelle. And off top, Michelle and Laurel were the first and second and respectively into the water. And Laurel was able to get the first piece. And after she got that, Michelle was already fighting. She was like, damn, I gotta beat Laurel or else she gonna come for me. I'm like, girl, shut up. Just be quiet. Cause it's getting weird.
I mean, feel like she probably just was like, I don't want Laurel to win because she knows how strong Laurel is. Now, what also increased that for her was the making up stuff of how Laurel was against her and how she needed to, you know, beat Laurel and all this other stuff, which is just like, I guess that's good because she had added motivation to win, which means that she was able to, give it her all and kind of push further into the competition. But it was just like, I don't know, that whole Michelle is special.
Yes. After she said that, I was like, ma'am, stop. I can't. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, this weird beef, it's just weird. Like, it's so one sided. It really
Yeah,
is. Because Laurel did not have an issue with that girl, did not say anything to her. To this day, I still don't know what the hell the issue was. But we're going to move on. Olivia had a point where she said that she was a lifeguard when she was 14 just to fight with other people, but she was using her abilities from being a lifeguard in this challenge.
we could skip Olivia because I'm actually kind of tired of her. Not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyways, um, Michelle was pacing herself throughout this whole thing. And eventually, like TJ said, like, was looking at Laurel, like Laurel was looking like she was about to gas out because she was going full speed ahead. And Amber, Charles Amber was in fourth place. Um, and finally tagged in Chauncey at this point. The top three got the guys into the water, and Amber got Chauncey in. Um, and Maurice and Nelson were in last place. They could barely do anything.
Yeah, Nerese was struggling. Okay, I mean, coming off of last week and how everything had played out, and now you're back into not being in the spotlight and having that win. You're back to square one, and they just performed terribly. Like, just that's just what it was.
Yeah. And Jordan and Jay were in the lead for the guys. And Jack was swimming in the wrong direction. And Laurel was yelling to try and get him to go back in the right direction to get to the platform. And he was just not going in the right direction.
I don't know. He wasn't the only one.
Yeah. And Jay, Michelle, Jordan, and Anissa made it to the boat first, followed by Olivia, Horatio, and Laurel and Jack. Um, and Laurel's taking the lead for her and Jack. And Liv and Horatio were able to get into second place at one point, and this was funny. Amber and Chauncey DQ'd because they sunk their boat.
How they do that? I still don't know. Cause I just at one point all I hear Amber screaming is TJ, our boat is sinking, and TJ's just in the corner like, okay, girl, so what you want me to do about it? Like, it's nothing that he can do.
And the way that they were like holding the boat, I'm like, that's why your boat is sinking because y'all have it halfway in the water.
Yeah,
So they DQ'd, and everybody was making their strides. Shout out to actually Jordan and Nisa for rowing because Jordan was doing the rowing for the most part for him and her, but he was doing that with one hand. But he was killing it. So shout out to him for doing that because I don't know if I can row, but that man has one hand and he was able to get through that. So props to him. And he finally got somebody to finish the crown, get it back onto the platform, and that was Jay and Michelle. They completed the crown for Heat 1 because they had a good lead. They were working really well together, um, and they beat this with that fake motivation that Michelle had.
Yeah, I think that's probably what probably empowered her for sure. And I think just Jay, because he fell in the middle of everyone in the house and where the dynamics were going, he probably was motivated behind that too, because just didn't know where he stood with the people.
Yeah. And in Heat 2, we had Colleen Kim, Nani and Bananas, Tori and Devin. I said Bananas.
Yeah, like you threw a little extra. I don't know if he was French or what was that.
I don't know because I said Nani and then I was just still in that pocket of how I said her name. And Fessel and Mariah and the Furniture Twins and Veronica and Darrell. I'm not even gonna say their names. I'm sorry. You know who I'm
I,
talking about.
no, it just clicked now who you're talking about actually. Because I forgot they were there too. When you said French, I'm like, who's she talking about? And then it clicked. It
uh,
clicked.
but Casey and Tori were first and second off the bat with the swim. Veronica was in last place, also going backwards, and poor poor her and Darrell because Darrell was yelling, "Veronica, no, no!" I'm like, oh Lord, like I need this was bad.
Yeah, Veronica was going the wrong way, and it was completely hilarious how Darrell was yelling at her to try to get turned around, and yet and still she was still on her back, like trying to just backstroke. It's just like, girl, your backstroking is the wrong direction, okay? But regardless, she got herself together. That's all I can
Yes,
say. She
yes.
figured it out.
And Tori and Devin were in first place with Devin being the first guy into the water, and then Fessy was right behind him. But for a little bit, Fessy and Mariah could not get the row down because he had her rowing and she couldn't get a good start for it. But she
No,
did row.
no, no, no. Hold on. Hold on. Because this probably was top two funniest things this episode. She literally said, I don't know what happens when I row in the gym. It works. And I'm just like, does she realize that there's no machine attached to the boat? Like she has to row herself. And the fact she couldn't get her arms together, like he's trying to tell her, like, no, I need you to go underhand. Like I like switch it around. And she's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I'm just like, girl, you're not at your Planet Fitness right now. Like, what are you doing?
And he was getting frustrated, but he didn't want to yell at her. And I
I
get
mean,
it.
growth. But
Yes.
honestly, she can't be serious.
Y'all could have switched. Honestly, if she could have do, y'all could have just switched.
But she would have had to eventually do it.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Like
But
either one, they would have had to eventually do it. So it's like either she was the one going back, or she was the one coming back to the point.
yeah, that was a bad start for them though. Um, and also for a team that had a bad start was Bananas and Nani because they were going in a circle as well.
And Nani just
And
didn't know what she was doing.
did not. And Jordan was like, "How do you fuck this up?" Like he was like, "Johnny, you've been on the show for 21 seasons. How do you fuck up rowing?"
That's what. Well, he's been on. She hasn't been on for 21 seasons, but she's been on long enough to know how to row.
Yeah, and I was
So
saying
I
Jordan was talking about bananas being on here
yeah.
for that long and
You know,
him
I
not
know,
knowing
but
how to do
still
that.
she's been on here at least half the time he's been on here, and she still doesn't know either.
Yeah, they were looking horrible, but it was funny. It's what they deserve. Tori and Devin and Casey and Kenny and Colleen and Kim were kind of top three for this heat, and they were killing it. At one point, Kim was gracefully rowing that boat. Okay, he had the form. It looked effortless. And I was like, shout out to him because that did great. Um, and that got them into second place. And it ended up being kind of a two-man race between them and Tori and Devin. But Tori and Devin actually made it to the platform, and they completed assembling the crown. And they were the winners for Heat 2. So with that, Jay, Michelle, and Devin and Tori were the fastest teams. But the winner of the whole challenge that was the fastest of everybody was Jay Michelle. And they get the 5K from Burger King.
Or do they? We don't know. It's a mystery, actually.
The jury's still out on that.
Yeah. The jury, the fries, the Whopper, the chicken sandwich, everything is still out on that.
Yes. Um, and with this win, Jack thought that he'd be safe because Jay is his bro. Um, but things happen. And I was so mad for him eventually. We get to the deliberation and Jay said like he knew like um Laurel and Jack put Michelle on edge for whatever reason. Um and he said he felt bad about possibly putting in Jack because of their budding friendship.
Well, he couldn't feel that bad because they put him in. Like, I just don't get that Jay didn't speak up enough about it. Like, he tried to, and at one point, I think Michelle was kind of like, all right, you know what? You pick, you decide. And Jay did not want that responsibility at all. He just looked at her. He was like, no, you do it because I'm not good at these things. And that was Jay's moment to at least fight for not only just Laurel and Jack, not putting them in, but also to put in Nani and Bananas. Because the logic that Michelle was coming up with not putting them in didn't make any sense because there was no logic behind it. She basically just said, listen, I'm not putting them in so that they can owe me one later on. You don't know if you're leaving next week. So I just don't understand why not even do that. Not to mention the fact that Nani put you in 2 weeks ago and y'all were supposedly best friends and you sat there boo-hoo crying in this girl's face and she just looked at you and just smiled and was like, I don't know what to say. Like, come on, it's not making any sense. You needed to put Nani and Bananas in. That was the bottom line. The decision making was just poor. It was stupid, and I just Michelle and Jay, I was rooting for them at some point in it because they're part of the people who don't really have the numbers like that, and they're not a part of this vacation alliance. However, I just think that that whole situation, it just showed me they don't need to win anything.
Yeah, like so I'm gonna get through everybody else what they were going through. Um, they also brought up Anissa and Jordan, and they also brought up Colleen and Ken. And I really do wish that Jay really spoke up more because Michelle was very scatterbrained. She did not know exactly what she was doing. If you don't know what you are doing, let someone speak. But Jay not wanting to ruffle like the big feathers, I'm like, sir, you are not a priority for them. You can mark your own space in the game because those vets don't care about you as much as y'all think they would. They don't. Y'all should have been selfish and not thought about numbers. Like, what numbers do y'all actually have? Like, be for real. Like, Michelle's like, oh, thinking about the numbers. Y'all don't have numbers. Y'all don't have nobody because they don't fuck with y'all in this game like that, to be honest. And like,
That's
y'all are,
facts.
it just blew me. I'm like, y'all are so dumb. And for you to be a winner of Survivor, How the fuck did you win that show? Because your decision making was trash. I'm sorry, it really was.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly head on. I really don't understand where she was coming from. I didn't understand. Neither did Jay. And the fact is that Jay is more accountable as her as well. Like he is in the same boat with her because that is his partner and he let her do it. I don't care what he says. He allowed her to do it and have those decisions and didn't say anything behind it, which it's funny.
And she was like, "Oh, I'll make my house blow back if we pick put Daryl and Veronica in." Well, duh, because the other vets don't care about them either. Like the decision making was bad. Banana and Nani should have been in there. Even Fessy and Mariah, like y'all don't have ties to that. Oh, like there is ties to Fessy because Michelle, I think, probably still liked Fessy.
What is she? What does he care? Because he was all into Colleen at that point. So that would have really meant nothing to him. I mean, he probably would have said something and been like, damn, like, you could at least, but like, honestly, she has to think more of her game than about him. Like, and if that was a part of the reason why she didn't want to put him in, oh, girl, whatever. But I'm not just, is that. It's just Nani and Bananas. That's just the puzzling one because
Yeah,
they were expecting to go in.
yeah, like it didn't make sense. Um, and Jay had points. He really had points. He didn't trust Bananas, and he had more trust in Darrell because Darrell don't do nothing to nobody. He isn't a schemer. He isn't a manipulator, which Bananas is. You can't trust that man. Why would you put your trust in Bananas? That's so dumb.
You know what
So
I just
dumb.
started singing? Well, you say you can't put a trust in him. Like how you put a trust in a you stupid. You know the song we're talking about. I don't want to curse too much.
Yeah.
I'm lying. I curse, but you know what I mean. You put your trust in a how you figure.
How
Like
you
I'm just
figure?
saying, right? How you figure? Like I don't get it. I just
like
can't.
like Jay made points, and like you did say, like he should be held accountable because he didn't push back as much and take a stance because they both very confused me throughout this whole thing. Um, and once like Jay said, like he puts more trust in Darrell, Michelle broke the fourth wall and looked at the camera. I'm like, girl,
And she kept doing it the whole entire time. And I'm like, girl, your name is not Jim and this is not The Office. It is not hitting. Stop looking at the camera. Like, I would have at some point, I get when they try to break the fourth wall, it's cool. But I would have been looking at her. I probably wouldn't even edit that in, but I probably would have been like, all right, girl, stop looking at the camera. Like, this is not here.
yeah, like you weren't making any sense. Like, girl, you are not, like you say, you're not Jim. You're not Jennifer Walters from She-Hulk. Okay, girl, you're not. You don't have the goods to break the fourth wall. You only break the fourth wall when you have sense and when you're funny. At this point in time, you had no sense and you were not funny. They really pissed me off. I'm like, listen, this is... And she was like, logic tells me to pick Bananas and Nani. But my heart is like, no.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Sis was sis was out of it.
She was. So, Colleen and Kim, Laurel and Jack, Anissa and Jordan, and Veronica and Darrell were the four teams on the bubble to go into the zone. And obviously, everybody was surprised by this. And Olivia said that they dropped the ball. They really did. Because everybody was expecting Bananas and Nani to be in there because they did that to them first. Like,
Yeah. And again, Nani and Bananas were like, wow, I'm surprised we're not in there. And Bananas is just like, yeah. It's really nothing that, they can say at this point. And then they just said, we're going to have to owe them one, which I feel like they have the advantage of that because they can always go back in their word, even though they were just saved by not going in. they've already shown that they don't fuck with y'all. So that they can easily throw y'all in again and be like, you know what? Even though we did owe you one, we're still gonna do whatever we want to do because you're clearly just easily able to be walked all over.
Yes. And Jack said that he felt backstabbed because him and Jay were very cool. Um and I felt that like but Jack was trying to keep like a even killed face, like he wasn't really trying to show that much emotion, but he was hurt. And Darrell was like, game on. He told Veronica the game on. Because, like, listen, they're going to keep hitting us in. It is what it is.
You know what's so funny? Jax, like I fuck with Jax, but his mustache over that lip filler is just killing me. Like, I don't know
Ma'am.
what's
Ma'am.
happening. Okay, I cannot be the only one who noticed this. Let's just discuss this real quick, because why is his mustache sitting over the lip filler like that? Like it's literally like grew over his lip, and the lip is like up here, and his mustache it's blonde, so it's just off. But Jax is cool, but I need you to dissolve them CCs in your lips, like please, please.
I didn't even notice the mustache like that until I just saw it in my head. I didn't. Like, I didn't.
It was so distracting to me. Actually, that's the only thing I can notice.
All right, we're going to move into the interrogation. And all the teams were very like, what the fuck? Darrell and Veronica asked them if they knew who they were going to pick to go in. Michelle and Jay did not have an answer. Um, and they were like, "Hey, we want to play by the numbers," but Veronica's like, "With the way y'all put these teams in, that does not make sense because half of like majority of these people that you picked are not really aligned with anyone like that. It doesn't make sense. The only team that was aligned with people was Jordan and Nisa. That was it. Like, what numbers are you trying to cut down with this group of four teams? It did
They
not
just
make
saying
sense.
anything. They were just saying anything at that point, and it's just they really just showed who they really were in that time. That's it.
Yeah. And after that one, that one interrogation, both of them knew that it was gonna be even worse from then, and it did. Um, Michelle told Colleen and Kim her reasoning for picking them was that they never talked game. Girl, it kept getting worse. Then
She
they got
kept
to
using that bar. She kept using that bar. Girl, that line didn't hit the first time. Stop using it with other people. Every single person that sat in front of her, she was just like, well, you know, we haven't really talked game with you guys. Well, we really haven't talked game with you guys. Clearly, you were talking to yourself the whole time and making up stories about people that you had beef with. Like, that's what I'm getting from this. I'm just getting that you're fucking insane because clearly you're not talking to anyone in the house. You put these people in, and all of a sudden now they sit in front of you, and your reasoning is, well, I've never discussed game with you. Well, what do you discuss?
it's a two-way street, baby. Like, you gotta go up to them. Some of, especially the vets that don't mess with y'all, you gotta go to them and try to talk to them. They not gonna
I'm
come to
sure
you and
she
talk to
hasn't
you.
talked to Tori and Devin. She hasn't talked to Nani and Bananas since Nani probably threw her in. She hasn't really talked to anybody in the house. So this is what I'm not understanding. You're making no sense.
Literally. Jesus Christ. Um, I have no other words because they were so dumb. Like it was. Ugh. Um, and Jordan did say that he saw through their excuses because they didn't make sense. And Anissa clocked her too. Like, girl, we don't talk. Like, what are you trying to say?
No, Anise is right.
Yeah. And the fact, and I talked about, we talked about this a little bit before we started this, and I told you that Michelle and Jay verbally jumped her on the podcast. I gotta go back and listen to that part and see what was said because she might have been just right. Might have. I don't know. I feel like
I
she
mean,
probably would have been right.
cool. You give them a spin because I'm not. I'm not. You can tell me the cliff notes after.
Okay, and then we get to the main event with them talking to Laurel and Jack, and Jay opted out like I'm in a fucked up position, because I am cool with Jack, but then I have Michelle that is feeling weird about Laurel, and this whole confrontation that they had with all four of them, Laurel just had that moment of silence, like looking at her like, "Are you serious right now? Like, what do you give me something to go off of because you're not giving me anything."
I think Laura was just like confused, as we all were, because at that point you were close to Jax in the house. Jay and Jax were close, and her and Michelle really had no issues because they really didn't have any real conversations. So the whole situation where it's just like Laurel and Michelle are quote unquote having beef, I think that's where Laurel got confused, as did most of us. And then when they were just sitting there because they didn't know what to say behind it, and Laurel says, I mean, did you ask me a question? Like, what do you want to know? Laurel became sassy, and rightfully so, because it was nothing to talk about. Like,
Because they were going to give her bullshit answers. If like Michelle, if you have this issue, quote unquote issue, spill it out here so that she would know. And Laurel said we hadn't even had a conversation beforehand. Like we never talked. So what is this? Like, and I saw people comparing this to when Josh was in power back on Total Madness, and he had Wes sitting across from him, and I see the comparisons because it's giving one sided beef and embarrassment.
this is exactly, it's a book of Josh that she just pulled, where it's just make up beef with somebody who's a top dog in the house, someone that you're clearly insecure about and afraid of in the house, and you just want to have some kind of problem with them because for whatever reason it feeds your ego or it helps you. Girl, nobody cares about you and how you feel, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to come at somebody, have some kind of concrete information as to what you're talking about and just not things that are just pulled out of your ass because it just makes you look dumb. The end.
Yes. And after this conversation, both Jay and Michelle were in shambles because they did not know what to do and how to move forward. Um, and then Michelle and Jay talked to Bananas. It was like, hey, like, yeah, if y'all give us an IOU, we're good. I'm like, girl, why are you doing this? Like, it's not gonna help you. Like I said, you put your trust in Bananas of all people. You must be dumb.
How you figure? Please. How do you figure?
Lord, Lord help us. Like, it's just horrible at this point. They really tank their game for them too, who don't care about them. Like, Nani might care about Michelle outside of this, but in the game, she could care less. Like, she only is loyal to Casey and who Casey is cool with. That's it. So, um, Jack tells Laurel that he doesn't want to be screwed over again by a friend. And he is pissed, but he's trying to keep his interactions with Jay fairly good. Um, but his feelings are still hurt. Like, he's trying to be a trooper and put on a brave face, but he is really hurt, and I feel for him because what Jay did was very reckless and should have, like we said, stood up and said no. You can figure that stuff out with Laurel later, but we're not going to put in my friend that I have here. That's not happening. And by him not doing that, you put in the one person in the house that you're cool with. And Jack, like I said, I totally am here for him. Figuring out what to do next with his friendship with Jay. Um, and he just gotta move on and move forward. But it's gonna be hard for him. And Michelle talked to Anissa about not wanting to get her hands dirty. But Anissa also was like, girl, you're not making sense. Still. Like, you're not gonna get your hands dirty for what? That don't make sense.
I mean, again, Jay and Michelle, this whole episode, it just is just dumb and dumber. Like, I have no more words to discuss with them because they literally just provided absolutely nothing.
Yes. And Veronica and Darrell wanted to save Anissa and Jordan if they could. But Veronica was like, it might not be smart for us to do that, but that's something for us to think about. And then Laurel and Michelle have a conversation that goes in a whole entire circle. And Michelle kept saying, I want to move forward, but you're not saying what the actual issue is.
Again, Michelle gave absolutely nothing. I'm so tired of Michelle at this point. And then also, I think Laura was just getting frustrated because she didn't really understand what the root of the problem was. And Laura's whole thing was, if we had a problem before you threw me in, you could have talked to me about it. What was the problem? What kind of interaction did you think that was negative with me? What did you think that I said or did or how I behaved in the house affected how you feel about me? Simple conversation is what Laura was trying to understand what didn't happen before she got thrown into elimination. And it's just like, at the bottom of it all, Michelle was just insecure about Laurel and her game and how she figured she would fare against Laurel, come to shove, if she has to go against her. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, that's really it. And Kim had Jay and Michelle's tea. Said they're not tough enough to take a shot at the big vets. Like they really weren't. Like those picks were trash, and it's horrible. But I will say it's well. I'll keep this out to the very end. We're going to go to the zone where Jay and Michelle they choose who they want to go in, and they choose Jack and Laurel, and they chalked it up to miscommunication with them, but also just basically saying that they're throwing them in because of Laurel. Anyways, we're going to go to the draw where Carlene and Kim draw a blank. Jordan and Nisa also draw a blank. And that left Veronica and Rel with the safe dagger. And they get to choose who is safe as well. And Veronica was the speaker for them. And she said that they'll be the scapegoat every time for whoever is in power. And she went on to say that she hadn't talked a lick of game with Anissa. And Anissa was like, what am I about to? And Jordan was like, are we about to go in? That head felt about to be shook. Like, what is Veronica doing?
Yeah, I mean, it could have easily happened though, because the only other person that was there was Colleen and Kim. And I feel like because last week Veronica and Darrell made a pact with Olivia and Horatio to not go in, they're so low on the totem pole with the vets. It would have been all right, cool. They would have teamed up with Kim and Colleen, who has shown to be a very strong team, and it can easily win a daily challenge and easily save Darrell and Veronica. So I wouldn't have been mad at them picking Kim and Colleen to save, but however, because of the history of Anissa and Veronica, and just them being a little bit more veteran in that terms, that's why they saved them. But I'm glad that Veronica did call out Anissa in that moment, because they will be able to have a conversation going forward about where they lie amongst each other.
Yeah. Um, and so that means that with them picking Jordan and Anissa to save, Colleen and Kim are facing Laurel and Jack in a game called Give Me Some Slack. I like how that rhymes. So, the players will be on opposite sides of a climbing wall, where one team member will be on the side of the design, and they describe the design to their partner who is on the other side, and they have to recreate it on the board. And as team members are harnessed, every time one goes up on the wall, the other gets pulled down, and the team that can replicate the design first and correctly will win this elimination. And both teams had some type of strategy to start, and were communicating well up to certain points. I went like with Jack and Laurel, their strategy was him bringing up symbols and backgrounds to her, and she was putting them in sand in the order, while Kim was taking down the pieces, all of them at once, and then having Colleen just read them off so that he can put them on the board. So those are two different strategies. I think I liked Jack and Laurel a little bit better, because it helped them a little bit more. Kim and Colleen's, it was interesting. I would say, because like just putting them all down and then it's going that way can get a little bit tricky. But they did fairly well throughout this as well too.
Yeah, I mean, these past couple of weeks, they've been in 4 different times, which is crazy. But Kim and Colleen have shown if they can't really communicate well with each other, they'll figure it out some way, somehow. Like, they always kind of figure it out. I think that either or strategy is fine. I mean, like it's just a preference at the end of the day, just getting it done. So however you feel, however it helps you think and see the puzzle, and getting that communication back from your partner, just however that works for you guys, it works. I think that Laurel, in her screaming and her, like, she's so intense, and she's a lot. And I think that because Jax is so cool with her and they're best friends and they're very close with each other, he's able to hear her communication differently. Because at the end, he said something where it was just like, only you can take her screaming that way, like in that voice, and how he just assumed that. Because anyone else would have been like, girl, who is you yelling at? Like, who are you talking to? Like, it just, this is not gonna work. But for them, they have that relationship and that communication where he can easily hear her, see her, understand her, and they can have a moment off of that.
Yeah. At one point, Jack fell off the wall and lost grip. Um, as he was trying to get back up, and Laurel's like screaming, "Get me down!" And it took them a while, but they managed to get it together. Um, and Kim was able to put the puzzle together, and he asked for a check, but it was wrong. Um, and at one point, Laurel was doing a puzzle, but it dropped on the left side, so they decided to just kind of redo it a bit. And Kim and Colleen were trying to fix their mistake as well. Um, but Laurel was able to finish the puzzle, and it took a second. TJ was like peeking, like, "Is this? I don't know. Let me see. Let me look." And he sounded the air horn and that was correct. So Laurel and Jack won this. Kim and Colleen only had one piece wrong.
Yeah, like we said, they somehow, some way, have been pulling it out every single week. Every time they go into elimination, it's been 4 different times that we've seen them, and every single time they've always managed to pull it out. It was just this one time where they were literally one piece off that they didn't get it.
Yeah. And is they said that it took Laurel bringing Jack to break her elimination curse, because the past two times haven't been great to her. The last time she was in elimination, that whole debacle with her messing up against Ninja was not great, but she redeemed herself this time from that, because
Yeah,
that was
I mean, Laurel just showed up and showed out, and I think that the only thing now we have to look forward to is her going back in the house and going against Michelle and Jay, because now there is a problem. Now there
yeah,
is something to it. And that, as you can see, Laurel is so intense that when she is set on something and when she has something in mind, it's gonna go either way. So that's where it's gonna be like, all right, now game on.
Yeah, because she was like, "How you like me now? Okay, listen, y'all poked the bear. Y'all wanted this, so y'all gonna get this." And
Yeah.
that's that. So that is the end of the recap. We're gonna get into the tweets that we saw on the timeline that we had agreed with and also laughed at. There are a lot, but I'm gonna pick my favorites of the ones I saw. So the first one, watch the last two episodes. Nelson looks like a mastermind, and Michelle looks like a bonehead. Do we live in the upside down?
Okay. Okay.
um, cause how last week happened, like they didn't know, like of they didn't, yeah, but cause how like he kind of did a fake out of putting in Olivia, but
Mm-hmm.
they worked that out and they just saw that. But I appreciate that because that was actually kind of smart on his part. And then obviously Michelle was airhead this week. The next one, Mariah said, "Bananas ain't the cutest, but I let him hit because he's goofy."
Wait, did she? Was that what that was a joke that they tried to come
I think
out
it
of?
also, I think it also happened afterwards in off season because
Oh,
I
ill
did see them
girl.
together.
Oh, ill. Oh, ill. Oh, ill. Oh, ill.
Yeah. Um, the next one, we're just gonna move on.
Hmm.
um, do you have a question? And that comes from Michelle. Do
It's
you have
like,
a question?
do you? What is the question? Let's start there. You know, when people pre-screen and kind of try to get the what is the question? Because
Yeah.
Michelle didn't have anything to say. She just wanted her. She was just glad that Laura was in her presence and talking to her. That's what it gave. It gave fan behavior. Honestly, that's how Michelle was treating this whole situation with Laurel and this beef. But I mean, is there going to be a lot more coming out of this? I don't know. We'll see. But definitely there will be something because Jax is upset and we don't really know Jax, but it seems like, well, I don't really know Jax. And it seems as if though, like he's one of those types that's not going to let anything go. And Laurel is crazy enough to keep going. So this is going to be interesting to see how Michelle and Jay get out of this or if they don't. Because if they don't win or any of their fake numbers behind them don't win, then it's over for them. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out.
Yep. And the last tweet, if they would have kept the word at the beginning about not playing scared, Nam should have been Bananas and Nani, Tori and Devin, Anissa and Jordan, and a disposable duo. That would
Right,
have been a dream.
right.
But
Which,
we didn't get
again,
it.
yeah, makes sense. We didn't get it. Moving on. Listen, this season is gonna keep continuing. I feel like with these little moments of just lack of judgment, and I think that because we have the numbers are just so half and half. I don't know if people are going to kind of realize what's happening with these numbers and kind of just try to make a move because everyone keeps talking about we want to make a big move. We want to make a statement. The only statement that I've seen so far really that was made was with Johnny and Raven first episode when they threw in the vets. That was it. So I don't know how much longer people are going to keep going to continue to vacation, but that's just what it is right now. So that's what we have for the challenge. It's another week, another episode. We'll be back though next week to talk about more of the challenge. You can follow us on Twitter at Zolines Pod. You can follow our personal pages at Megs and Hines, at Ace_S5. You guys, I can read. It's a miracle. I'm not
Yay!
Floyd Mayweather anymore. A miracle. I can read. Yeah, if you want to watch us, you can watch us on our YouTube at Dual Alliance Pod as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you
Yes,
guys for listening. Uh, I don't know what to say. Enjoy your weekends, your weeks.
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. All
Bye.
right. Goodbye.